Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi guys, welcome to episode 168 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and also tell your friends to listen, and you can even share an episode if you'd like. Okay, can we have a quick, honest talk about our phone addiction? I think most of us struggle with this in one way or another, and I'm not judging. This is something I work on every single day. I talk about it a lot, but I'm getting better, but it's still not easy. But look, it breaks my heart to be in a restaurant or an airport or wherever. And sometimes I see a parent and they're sitting there staring at their phone, and I notice how their kids are just vying for their attention. They're like, "Look at this, mommy." And the mom's staring at the phone, heads down, is mumbling like, yeah, that's good. Just completely ignoring their child, and they're just wanting to connect. Or how about being at dinner and noticing how many of us are just on our phone instead of connecting with the people right in front of us? You know, the ones that chose to take time out of their day to actually be with us. What are we doing? Like, when did it become okay to be so distracted? When did it become socially acceptable to just simply go heads down on our phone and ignore all that's good around us? It makes me sad to see it. Now, I get it because it is more comfortable to stare at the phone than to just sit and maybe take in the surroundings where you may have to make eye contact with a stranger, or God forbid we make a new friend. This present moment, the one we're in right now, it matters. That person that came to dinner with you, they matter. And it's hard because we've trained our brains to be addicted to activity, to drama. One of the hardest things I've done is break the habit of wanting to just scroll to see what's the latest drama. I mean, is our life that mundane? I'd like to think not, but something's missing if our favorite time of day is when we get to veg in front of the TV or zone out in social media, whatever our social media is. But is this the new acceptable drug of choice? Our brain gets juiced off the drama, so we just keep going back for more because that dopamine hit feels so good. But what about the feeling of being present with someone you find interesting? What about being present with that little boy or little girl that only wants your attention? I don't have kids, but my Yorkie is kind of like one in a way. But she doesn't like it when I'm on my phone. She wants my full attention. Now, every morning we go for a walk in our cove so she can do her business. And I never have my phone when we go. But a few weeks ago, something grabbed my attention. So I had my phone and I was reading it while we were walking. And she just stops dead in her tracks and looks up at me. She will not go any further. I started laughing and I was like, "Oh my goodness, you're not going to walk if I'm on my phone." And as soon as I put it away, she just took off just happily like normal, and we had a great walk. And that's a fur baby. She's not even human. Imagine how a human feels when we do that. It doesn't feel good to be with someone that's constantly distracted. I mean, what's on that phone that's so much more interesting than I am? How do we compete with the constant dopamine hit that someone's addicted to? Well, I have a question for you, and this is something we can all think about. Is scrolling on that phone constantly making you better? Is scrolling on your phone going to make you money? Is it making your relationships better? Is it making you more fit? What value is scrolling on your phone adding to your life? I mean, Brooke Castillo calls it buffering. It's a form of acceptable buffering. Now, I think a lot of times we use it as a crutch. I mean, we're in a situation where we feel bored or awkward or unsure of what to do next, or maybe we're unsure of how to do something next. And we reach for our phone to get that dopamine hit because it's a sure thing. It's comfort in a time when maybe you should be okay with discomfort. So why are you reaching for your phone? Really stop and think about it. What feeling came up that made you reach for your phone? Being aware of that feeling or thought will help you overcome the addiction of mindlessly grabbing and scrolling. So since I've been working on this, I've been really noticing what makes me want to grab my phone. For me, sometimes it's someone asking me if I've heard the latest news, and I usually haven't because I try not to look at it. Or this last week, I was working on a business plan, and my brain was giving me all these thoughts, like it does. And one of the thoughts was, now, how are you going to do all that? Which kind of stressed me out for a second, which caused me to reach for the phone. I just was looking for comfort of taking my mind off that uncomfortable thought. So what I thought I would do with you guys is I would go through 2 different scenarios, okay? This first scenario where I have that thought that makes me uncomfortable about this, maybe it's about figuring out how to market to reach more people through my podcast. Now, that makes me kind of uncomfortable, so I reach for my phone. Okay, and in this scenario, I just scroll mindlessly to take my mind off of it. An hour later, I'm on a clothing site buying a shirt that popped up on an ad while I was aimlessly scrolling. Nothing accomplished towards what I was working on, momentum completely lost. Or, second scenario, I have that uncomfortable thought. My mind wants to do anything but be uncomfortable, but I push through. And instead of mindlessly scrolling, I find several articles on best practices for increasing your podcast listeners. And I follow through on several of the ideas. An hour later, I've reached out to different podcasts to market myself and run ads on the podcast. Momentum definitely headed in the right direction. Those are 2 scenarios that actually come up for me quite a bit. I wonder if they do for you as well. My challenge to you this week, the next time you have the urge to reach for your phone to mindlessly scroll, mentally note what caused you to want to grab it. Then pause and see if the urge to grab it fades. Maybe it does or maybe it doesn't. But Eckhart Tolle says just doing that one little exercise raises your consciousness. You're making yourself better, one little step at a time. That's what the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast is all about. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.